What is up, YouTube? I am Galite74 here, bringing you Week 5 of Matt Oshea's Ocean League. This week we are taking on the Monterrey Suicunes, coached by Jed Swarley, I think how you say it. Sorry if I butcher that. He is a division rival, so we face him twice this season. We are going into this game with a nice 3-1 record, while he is 2-2. It is a very important game, though, because if he wins and I lose, we have the same record, so, I want to be able to have a better record than him. Again, as I mentioned, he is a division rival, so the team builder is going to be short this week until the next battle where I go into more depth about his team. I apologize, this is probably going to go up a day late, if not very late on Saturday, but it's probably going to go up on Sunday. I've been recording this very late because I've been very busy with school and my mind's been all over the place. But nevertheless, I'm going to go over my sets real quick, and I'm going to go over his team first. His team consists of Megalopony, Tapu Koko, Jirachi, Rotomwash, Crocodile, Silvally, Porygon 2, Noivern with Z-moves, Blastoise, Magmortar, and Weezing. Now when I say Z-moves, I mean like Z-Rain Dance, so like status Z-moves that aren't too broken. What I expect him to bring consists of Megalopony, Tapu Koko, Crocodile, Silvally, Porygon 2, and Noivern. He could switch out Noivern for Blastoise or Magmortar. Probably Magmortar because that thing hits my team relatively hard and he does need a Charizard switch-in. So that's what I'm expecting. He could bring especially defensive Silvally, but that thing gets worn down really quick by a lot of my team. But that is his team. I'm going to go over my team. Since the battle already happened, I know what sets were used, so I'm going to go over sets a little more that were used than the ones that weren't. But the mons that I'm bringing consist of Zeraora, Mega Charizard Y, Alolan Persian, Florges, Tyrantrum, and Slowbro. First up, we're going to set with Zeraora. Zeraora is a very basic bulk up set. Plasma Fist hits everything really hard on his team, especially with the electric terrain up that Tapu Koko provides. So I'm planning to kind of take advantage of that. The only thing that really wants to switch in is Crocodile, and Crocodile really does not want to take a close combat. And if it's low enough, it'll just die. Next up, we got Mega Charizard Y. It was a really standard Charizard Y set with Protect. I like to use Protect to scout out for Scarfers that try to offensively deal with Charizard so I can handle them accordingly. So that's basically Mega Charizard Y. We got Alolan Persian with Parting Shot, Knockoff, Toxic, and Taunt. He ran a Curse Porygon 2. That is actually something that never would have really came up in my mind, but since I was watching one of his battles, it really worked out for him. So this is kind of my way of dealing with that. I could either Toxic it, I could Taunt, Knock Off, I could do anything with this Persian to make sure that doesn't happen, because that is kind of scary, not gonna lie. And just Knock Off's pretty spammable against his team outside of Lopunny. Next up, we got Florges. Florges just had a really good matchup this week. The only thing that really wants to take on Florges is Jirachi or Magmortar, and my team's got some really good answers to Jirachi and pretty good answers to Magmortar as well. So Florges is just doing Florges things. Next up, we got Tyrantrum with Choice Scarf Head Smash because Head Smash hits things really hard. This can deal with Magmortar pretty well as long as it's not like Choice Specs in the sun. That's gonna hurt even if I resist it 4 times, because 59 special defense isn't nothing great. And then lastly, we got Slowbro. Slowbro is here mainly because Megalopony exists and I have no defensive switch in because Persian is weak to fighting. So there's that, and this is just to make sure Lopunny doesn't run house on my team. And that is it for my team. I'm really sorry, this is a really quick team builder, but again, I face him in the last week of the season, so I might want to bring some of these sets back. Not all of them, but some of them. And I don't want to give away all of my strategy too much. So that is the team builder, and we're going to hop into Pokemon Showdown for the battle. So here we are for the battle, and the first thing I'm noticing is that he did not bring the Megalopony, and he did not bring the Crocodile. So that makes Zeraora Avenging a little bit less useful, so I decided to lead with it. And of course he brings the Silvally Ground, and I was just laughing so hard when he decided to lead with it. So that is a terrible matchup for me. I decided to switch into Persian to take the multi-attack, as he does go for it. I said I can whittle this thing down pretty quickly with Toxic, so I decided to go for Toxic, and I do miss. So that really sucks. He's just going to Parting Shot out now, knowing that I have that. And he goes into Jirachi, and that's fine, because my main answer to this thing was Persian. So I decided to go for Knockoff, as I'm faster, so he's not Scarfed. He's actually Leftovers, and he goes for the Rocks. So that kind of sucks. I should have taunted that turn, but I mean, I didn't know. I thought it was going to be more of an offensive Jirachi, but this is actually a really defensive Jirachi, as he shows Stealth Rocks and Toxic. So that was really good that I taunted that time, because I do not want my Persian Toxic. Anyway, I'm going to go for Knockoff. I can just spam Knockoff. He could spam his Iron Head, which he does have. It does 24%, but I do have Leftovers Recovery while he doesn't. And I am perfectly fine trading this for Jirachi. But he goes back into Silvally knowing I'm going for Knockoff, as that does nothing. I'm going to go for Toxic this time because I really want this thing poisoned and whittled down, as I do hit my Toxic this time. He's going to go for Ice Beam, and it does cost me 30% of my health. But that is fine because I can just Parting Shot out the next turn, and I can just get Leftovers Recovery on something else. So I'm going to Parting Shot now, and I'm going to Florges expecting the Ice Beam to come out. I could have went to Slowbro because he's ground type, but I decided Florges, and it does nothing. Now, he's going to take more toxic damage. I decided this turn I'm just going to default because Jirachi is a really good switch in, and I mean, I'm not really expecting Moonblast to do much to it, so defog was the right choice. Now, next turn, I do this every game, I think, at this point, that I switch in Charizard when my opponent is about to go for rocks, which I do. And I know Magmortar's sitting in the back, and I'm expecting it to come out, which it does. And I'm just going to Mega Evolve and fire off a Flamethrower, because Magmortar doesn't have reliable recovery. And if Rotom was going to switch in, that also doesn't have reliable recovery. So Flamethrower is the safe move there. This shows that he is an Assault Vest Magmortar, I'm pretty sure. I think it's like an offensive Magmortar with AV, I think. He goes for a T-Bolt on Tyrantrum. It does a chunk. I didn't get paralyzed, which was really good. I decided if I wanted to go for Head Smash or an Earthquake. I decided to go for Head Smash because damage on Jirachi was still damage. And it still does a decent amount to P2. It sucks it doesn't do over half, but, you know, I'm not banded or anything. I'm going to go back on the floor just because I can just Toxic this thing, as he is going to go for the Recover, so he does show Recover on this thing. I was really scared of, like, a really stally P2, not going to lie, but he switches out here, so that's good. I go for Toxic again because P2 is a semi-threat to my team, depending on what set he brought, so I want that thing poisoned. This time I don't default because I don't want to take an Iron Head, and I go into Zeraora. I can't go into Charizard because the rocks are up, and I do not have Roost on it. Now, I'm going to go for the early setup because, again, Zeraora doesn't do as much, and he doesn't have Croak around, so Zeraora's a little more free. And since this thing, Silvally, is weakened already, I can fire off a +1 Titanium Z close combat. And this is going to do so much damage. It's probably going to knock it out, but, you know, of course, he lives on 1%. And he gets the multi-attack off. Luckily, because of the bulk up, I do live the multi-attack. But it's so annoying because Zeraora doesn't even get the kill here. Persian does, which, you know, I guess a kill for Persian's cool. Now, since Electric Terrain is not up from Tapu Koko, it's not going to kill Rotom, but it's going to do a lot of damage. And he misses this Hydro Pump. Now, that's really big because if he hit that Hydro Pump, my Zeraora would have been dead. And since he switches in the Magmortar, he's going to sack off the Magmortar, and Magmortar dies. I do get Flame Body, which really sucks, but, I mean, he missed Hydro Pump, so I guess it trades off. His only good switching to Charizard is now gone because he missed the Hydro Pump, so that's really unfortunate. Here, I'm only at 15%. I don't see Florges being able to Heal Bell and Default. I don't even know if I have Heal Bell on the set. I honestly don't remember. But I decided just to sack off Zeraora because I have ways around all of his other mons. I don't know why I woke up here, but it doesn't really matter at the end because he's going to recover here, and I'm going to fire off a close combat next turn because I only have one more turn of burn. He does show the curse on this thing, so he's got curse, recover, and you'll see here in a second he goes for Trick Room. So I know his full set now. Trick Room, return, recover, curse. So this is pretty fine because Persian just kind of walls this thing for days. I can just either I can click 3 moves on this thing. I decided to go for the Toxic, which apparently was the wrong play because Jirachi comes in, which is fine. I'm going to get a little more Leftovers recovery to negate the Stealth Rock's damage. I'm going to switch out here into Slowbro. These next few plays are really questionable for my part, as he does show the Wish. Excuse me. But I go for Psychic because I was really scared that Porygon 2 is going to come in on the Wish. And if I Scald it and then I Scald Burn it, then dealing with Porygon 2 is going to be a much bigger problem. He goes for Toxic. I don't know what I'm doing in these two plays, to be honest, because he had Toxic and I knew he did, and I really didn't want Slowbro being poisoned. So these plays are really questionable on my part. Luckily, he doesn't even go into P2. I do pull a double, and it doesn't work out in my favor because Rotom now gets back up to full while my Persian is at 51%. So this is just a series of bad turns going on here. He goes into Jirachi, which I still question why he's having Jirachi as a switch into Persian, though I am kind of lower on health now, so it's kind of understandable. I go for the Taunt, hoping he doesn't go for Wish or Toxic, and he does go for the Toxic, so that's good, because I can get more Leftovers recovery now, and I can just like knock off on his team. But this time, he goes in the Tapu Koko, and I do pull a nice move and go for Parting Shot, expecting him to switch out, as he does go in the Tapu Koko, as I just said. I can go to Florges, because Florges walls his Tapu Koko really well. Now, here I decide he's going to switch out. He goes into Jirachi. I can defog again this time around. And this allows Charizard to come in. Because now, since his only move to hit Charizard is Iron Head, that's really good. So he goes into Rotomosh. He pulls a double as I go into Charizard. So good play on his part. Now, I'm thinking this thing could be scarfed. I don't think it is, but like I just want to protect to see what move he would go for the off chance he was scarfed. Because offensive Rotom Wash is a thing. I hate Rotom so much, by the way. He goes for Volt Switch now. I decided to make a risky play. He is scarfed, which is good because I do go for Flamethrower. And anything that comes in doesn't want to come. He take a Flamethrower, and his Tapu Koko just dies. His Tapu Koko just hit the ground. I knew I could tank the Volt Switch, and since if he was scarfed, that was the risk I was willing to take. As I'm going to go for Protect, not that it really matters. He's just going to click Volt Switch again. I'm going to have to switch out because I want to keep Charizard around for Jirachi. And he's just going to gain momentum anyway. So I'm going to go to the floor just to take the Volt Switch. It's not going to do too much, but you know he gets momentum into Jirachi now, which he does do. I don't have anything to do out here, so I had to switch out again because floor just can't do anything to this Jirachi. I'm going to go into my Mega Charizard Y like I have been doing since rocks aren't up, as he does pull a nice move and go for the Toxic. So now Charizard is going to be whittled down. This next turn is really weird. I went for Flame Charge expecting him to go into the Choice Scarfed Rotom, but he doesn't. He actually stays in and Iron Hits, and it does 21%, but Toxic damage is going to rack up, and next turn I'm going to die. So I can't come switch in again, so I had to go for a move, and I go for the Flamethrower. I almost went for Solar Beam, but I didn't want to mess around with that Jirachi. And damage on Rotom is still damage, and Charizard is going to go down. So good part for Jed to work around the Charizard. He did a really good job there. Now, here's a big turn as well. I go for Earthquake expecting him to switch, and he doesn't. He goes for Hydro Pump, and he misses. Now, again, another Hydro Pump miss. This is really big because I would have lived a hit. I would have been able to switch out later, but you'll see why it's kind of big. Now, he misses his 80th billionth Hydro Pump there. That one didn't matter too much, but, you know, just bad luck on his part. He's going to go to the Jirachi, and this time I went for Scald, expecting that to happen, and it does a decent amount of damage, too. Burn would be really nice on this Jirachi as well. I'm not going to go for Psychic anymore. I don't have the leeway to do that, so I'm just continuing to fire off Scalds. Now, I put him in a position to either, A, take this Wish. He can't take this Wish because he had to take a Scald and he'd die, or something else has to take a Scald. So it turns out to be Rotom, and of course I get the burn. I didn't want the burn, but you know, after I click Scald so many times, I'm going to get the burn. Toxic is wearing up, so I need the Slowbro around for a little later. So I'm going to switch out, and now this is why that Hydro Pump miss really mattered, because I wouldn't have been able to live that Volt Switch if I got hit with that Hydro Pump earlier. So now Tyrantrum's in. I can switch out and use that again later as I go into Persian, and Persian just hard walls his Porygon 2 every time. I could just knock off, and that's what I'm going to do this time because he could just switch into Jirachi, and he does, and I catch him, and then this Jirachi is down. Now that's huge because now he cannot Wish Pass into Rotom, and it's just Rotom and Porygon 2 left, and I have proper mons to deal with them pretty fine. Here I need Persian for Porygon 2, so I'm going to switch out into Florges, as he does pull a nice move and go for Trick. So now I have a Choice Scarf, and he's got the leftovers, negating that burn damage I did to him earlier. Excuse me, I need a drink there. Now I go back into Tyrantrum to sack it off, and now Tyrantrum dies. Now, if I didn't have Tyrantrum around, I probably would have used Slowbro, but it still sucks because of so many Hydro Pump misses. That's just some bad luck. I go into Persian here, and I Parting Shot out back on the floor. I don't know why I had to sack Tyrantrum, to be honest, because we're back to square one, basically, except that he's -1. Granted, Hydro Pump's doing a lot less damage now, because it's only doing 16% because of the Parting Shot, but, you know. I'm going to fire up a Moonblast, and it does heaps of damage to Rotom Wash, and I'm really glad I decided to do that. He goes for Defog. I'm not sure what he's doing. I apologize. My throat is really dry right now, and this battle is kind of long. He's going to switch into Porygon 2, as I'm just going to continue to fire off Moonblast because, well, I'm locked into it. It does nothing. Luckily, I can just go into Persian every time, and Porygon 2 can't do too much to this thing, as he is just going to Curse Up. This turn. Next turn, I actually forget what I go for this turn. This turn, I go for Toxic, so that was big because now this thing is on a timer. And if I didn't get this thing on a timer, this thing could possibly just stall out my team, since Persian doesn't have reliable recovery. But it doesn't, and he just goes for Return, and I can just go for the Taunt so he doesn't set up anymore. And then next turn, I'm going to go for a Knockoff. So, yeah, his Toxic damage is going to rear up. And now he's going to switch into Rotom, which is really good because I can negate the leftovers recovery he has as I knock him off. And now he's getting whittled down too. And he doesn't have Pain Split, so he can't really, you know, reliably get health back. I'm just going to go back in the Florges, as he does go for the Volt Switch, which is nice on his part, because now he can go in the P2 and recover up. But it's not really going to matter, because, again, he is on the timer with Toxic. and it's just a matter of time before he dies. I'm just going back into Persian because I can do this game all day. He's going to lose it eventually. He does go for a return, which is a nice play on his part. And Trick Room is going to wear out now, so I am going to be faster and fire off on knockoff as he just goes into Rotom, and his Rotom just getting whittled down turn after turn by knockoff. Here, knowing he's not Scarf, I could have went for knockoff. I think it was like a roll to kill. But I decided just to play it safe and go into Florges because for the off chance it didn't kill and he killed my Persian, that would be kind of a problem. But yeah. He's at 3%. I'm going to go for Moonblast and Rotom goes down. And now this game is basically just won as long as Persian can live hits. I say this because Slowbro can tank hits fine, but Slowbro is also on a timer because of Toxic. So it's not really the most reliable thing ever since he has Recover. But he's going to set up Trick Room. I'm just going to sack off my No, I'm not going to sack off my Florges because I wanted to make sure I could get some damage off before he recovered. As now I'm going to go into the Persian because I expect that Recover to come off. And now I can just knock off and just taunt. I'm going to taunt first so he doesn't get too set up. And then I'll just click knock off till I win basically. He's on a timer again, so it's only a matter of time before he goes down. And battle's almost over, guys. He's going for a return. It does a lot, 32%, and I'm at 32%. So it's probably a roll to kill me with this next return. So there's that. And he's down to his last turn of Toxic. And he goes for... I switch out to Slowbro because Rocky Helmet I have on this thing. And just in case, like, Persian went down for some reason, or, you know... I decided to give Slowbro because it's differential. And that is the game. My commentary got really bad near the end there. I apologize, guys. My throat is absolutely killing me right now. It was 67 turns. It didn't even feel like 67 turns during the battle, if I'm going to be completely honest. By the time I got to turn 60, I'm like, dang, this battle actually lasted a lot longer than it did. But GG to Jed and his Monterrey Suicunes. I forgot to mention earlier, I really like his logo. So there's that. Make sure to go check out any important links in the description below. My voice is absolutely gone, guys. I apologize. This video is going to go up maybe a day late. But again, GG to Jed. I will see you in week 12. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoy Pokemon content, please leave a like. If you like Draft League, consider subscribing to the channel as I'm trying to post more on this channel. That's all I got for you guys. Have a fantastic day, YouTube.